Hello there, this is Andrew Smith on day 6 of my 40-day fitness challenge, and today I'm going to show you a little bit more about how the programs and tracking documents that I provide over at my blog can be used to record your resistance training volume. And I'll also talk about why that's also an important aspect and an important thing that you should be collecting information about. Once again, we're over at the resources section of my blog. Now, if you have tried to access some of these programs, what you'll notice is that you will be prompted for a username and password. If you want to register for the free Complete Health Toolkit, then you will get free access to these resources. I've set up a guest user account so you can log in as a guest and access these programs. So there isn't any reason for you to purchase anything. Everything provided at the blog is completely free. What we're going to look at today then is the Advanced General Gym-based program, just because there's a little bit more information in terms of the types of weights that you're using for your resistance training, how many sets, how many reps, and that type of thing. Okay, so if we take a look at the program now then, okay, once again it's set up in exactly the same way. On the far left hand side we've got some general program notes, and we've got tabs along the bottom for your exercise and also for your calories. Okay, now in yesterday's video, day 5 of my challenge, I looked at I showed you how you record your calories and how that feeds into the calorie summary tab. Today we're going to look at your resistance exercise more particularly, and we're going to look at how that feeds in to the far right hand tab, the training volume summary. Okay, so if we start off with January then, so we're going to go to January exercise, and what we're going to look at today is the resistance training that we do. Okay, so barbell chest press, let's say for example you use 50 kilos for your first set, 50 kilos, and in the first set you achieve 15, in your second set you achieve 12, and in your next set you achieve 10. Okay, and then you move on to your second exercise, your seated row, and you pick a similar weight, 45 kilos, and you manage 15, then you manage 10, and then you manage 8. Okay, let's pick a smaller muscle group, so we go for bicep curl. You may only use 10 kilos, you may achieve 16 reps, 14 reps, 12 reps. Okay, so all of this information feeds what we call the training volume, and your training volume is basically a calculation which involves the weight you're using times the number of reps times the number of sets. And the way the spreadsheet's set up here is if your number of reps isn't the same, then it will still factor that in. Okay, we'll just take those 3 exercises and we'll move that to week 2, and we'll move it to week 3. Okay, now let's assume in week 2, on the first exercise there, you manage some higher reps. Let's say you manage 18, 15, and 12 as an example. And you manage 20, 15, and 10. Okay, and then in the following week, you see some significant gains, and you're able to use a heavier weight. You use 60 kilos, and you do 17, 15, and 12. These are just examples, but it's just to show you how these spreadsheets work. And on seated row, you manage to increase your weight, and on bicep curl, you manage to increase your weight, and you also manage to increase your reps slightly. Okay, now if we go over to the summary training volume tab, what we'll see is that here in the resistance training section, okay, that information's began to feed in. Bearing in mind there's 3 different resistance training sessions, and I've just shown you one as an example. In week 1 we managed 3755. That's a calculated value for your training volume based on weights and reps as mentioned earlier. And then the second week we can see an increase, the third week we can see an increase, and what the spreadsheet will actually do is total that up across the week. Now again, the reason why it's so important to record and track your progress is because people hit plateaus naturally. So let's say you start to see that these numbers are the same week in, week out, then it's time to change your exercises, or it might be time to change your rep ranges. It's also useful because what I would say, as a former personal trainer, what 90% of people would do in the gym is go into the gym and week in, week out use the same weights and use the same number of reps. Now, unfortunately, that doesn't mean that your strength will stay the same. Your strength will actually decline. It's a principle called reversibility. So it's important that you constantly overload your muscles more and more each time you do a particular set of workout or a set of exercises. The other factor into that is every 8 to 12 weeks you should change your routine completely to stop your body adapting. But again, that's another principle that we won't spend too much time discussing here today. Now, I've just given you a snapshot of how the programs work, but I've also mentioned a couple of key principles there. And what I really strongly encourage you to do is go and register for your free copy of the Complete Health Toolkit, where I'll tell you about things like progressive overload and training volume and the principles of reversibility, so that you can really start to structure and shape your training around tried and tested and proven principles. Okay, I'm going to leave it there for today. Tomorrow I'm going to outline a little bit more about my own goals and how I'm using these documents for myself. But for now, I wish you a good evening.